Lightning like Steve McQueen. I'm in the fast lane when the light turns green. And I built tough, I ain't nothing but grit. Cause I made rugged blood, sweat, and spit. Yeah, like a horse I fly. Better push yourself in for a bumpy ride. I like to play hard, but I work harder. And I weather the storm cause I'm built stronger.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Morning Show, the top morning show in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines and provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of that information. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Chris Shawley, aka the Freight Coach, the host of all of this stuff. At the end of the day, you guys, everybody who comes on my stuff is transportation professionals. All right. There's no theory on any of this stuff. There's no what someone might do in this situation. It is all brought to you by transportation professionals for transportation professionals. At the end of the day, you guys, it's a massive value exchange. And, you know, it's one of the many reasons that I proudly fly the American flag behind me every single day is not only is this the greatest nation on earth, but I'm living my American dream. And I want to help each and every one of you guys live your American dream as well. I got a very special guest for you guys. I'm going to bring him up here in a second because we're going to talk about everybody's favorite topic, which is double brokering and all this bullshit that we get to deal with here in this industry day in and day out. But before I do any of that stuff, I got to give a shout out to my friends over at VHub. You guys, vhubapp.com. Doesn't matter if you're a broker, carrier, or shipper alike. We all need access to trailers at some point in time, especially right now. If you're a small fleet or a one truck operation, you guys, at the end of the day, you should never have to shut your operation down because you have a trailer in the shop. And the best part about what they're working on is you guys get paid to move these trailers for them. So with what they're doing right now, you guys, they got Glade Spring, Virginia to Orting, Washington. You get paid $15.50 to do that. That's on top of the revenue that you get by loading out that trailer. They also have Glade Spring, Virginia to Delta, BC. If you guys have Canadian Authority, you get $18.50 to do that. They have West Valley City, Utah going up to Calgary, Alberta, $15.50 US to do that. And then they also have San Diego, California going out to Houston, Texas. You get paid $800 to do that. And again, you guys, that's on top of the revenue that you get by loading out that trailer. So hit them up, vhubapp.com. My friend Stacy Steen and Xavier Campos, they'll be in the audience. You guys, just let them know that the Freight Coach sent you. Caroline Lyle, what's up? It's the Freight Coach. Happy Monday to you. Good fucking Monday morning. Sunny Sharma, let's fucking go. Erica Hamilton, good morning. Let's fucking go. All right, I'm going to bring him up right now. Mr. Matt Perkins is on. Matt, you said you were wearing orange today.
I am, baby. Orange shortcake. Orange shortcake. Let's go.
I thought that looks red to me. Maybe
it's orange. Well, it's a little bit it's like tangerine.
It is what it is.
Okay, yeah, it's about as orange as it's gonna get today.
Dude, what's up, man? How's you're on 75 hard right now? Are you in day 37 today?
Day 37. It should be, yeah, day 37. Let's check the $5 app. Day 35. Day 35.
Okay.
So yeah, just rocking it, man. Getting right back in the groove already. I'm back in the 180s. So
yeah, man.
Getting the mind right again.
Dude, you're making that progress because you started because we were in Nashville together. It's been about a month now.
It's already.
It's crazy. Yeah, because we were out there for the RTA Syndicate, and you were just starting at that point.
Yeah, so I got fed up with putting the weight that I just lost the second time around back on. So November 1st, I just jumped right back in. So I had Nashville planned, Phoenix planned. I got Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, a Christmas party for my company. Yeah, I got a lot going on where I could indulge, but I'm back in it.
You can indulge every year.
Yes, sooner or later.
Exactly. Seneca, it is vhubapp.com if you want to go to their website. And if you want, man, just go over there and hit them up. They'll hook you up with whatever you need. April, what's up? Good fucking morning to you. Thanks for joining. Chris Horton, good morning. Thank you for joining. Tracy O. St. Clair, good morning. Bring it on every day. LinkedIn user, good morning. Whomever you are. I got a handful of people who that might be. Julia, what's up? Good to see you again. And then Drew Driscoll, what's up, my man? How the hell are you doing? Let's go, baby. He's out. He's in your backyard, man. He's out in Knoxville. He's over at Axle Logistics.
Oh, yeah. Down the street.
Just down the street from you. I love it, man.
So, dude, about a 10-minute walk, I think.
So what's good, man? You know, obviously Matt and I are friends. We talk a lot. And you wanted to talk about some double brokering and everything else. So like what happened here recently because you were like, we got to get on a show and we got to talk about this shit.
Oh yeah. So, I've been doing this for 24 years. Double brokering's been happening for 24 years, right? But this time it happened where we were the victim, so to speak, as far as the double broker was giving our MC number as the brokerage leg to the poor assets that were hauling loads blindly for somebody else. And they were putting themselves, in a situation where they weren't going to get paid. The big thing I think I want to cover real quick first, we should talk about double brokering. Like, what is it? Because there could be some people that just don't know what it is. Because I was talking to an asset that had the load, and I was trying to tell him like what happened, and he just wasn't getting it right away. So let's talk about it first, what double brokering is and how people become victims of it.
Yeah.
So I'll jump in. You can throw in what you know and what you've experienced. But basically, there's going to be a shipper. Typically, it's a broker who has the actual freight. Right? We have the freight. We give it to somebody that calls in and says, "Hey, I'm interested in the load. Let's do the load. I'm ABC Trucks." So me and ABC Trucks, we work out a deal, and I give him the load, my customer's load. This guy then turns around, or a girl for that matter, turns around and then proceeds to pretend they're a broker. And then they call assets saying, "Hey, I'm XYZ brokerage and I've got this load. Do you want to do this load?" Because they've got the rate agreement from me. Mm-hmm. So they've got the information. They got enough to sell a load. And then the truck, the actual asset, takes the load for any denomination. I mean, for all I know, the truck is agreeing to more money than I even have in the load for my customer. But it doesn't matter, because at the end, this middle person who pretended to be an asset to me and then turned two-faced and went and was a broker to somebody else, they don't care, because they're going to turn around to me once they get the POD. Once the real asset delivers, that person, that individual, that shyster is going to call me, say, "Hey, here's the POD. Can I get quick pay?" Mm-hmm. And then if we allow that to happen, then we're going to quick pay them and they're going to be gone. The phone number's a burner, everything. And the truck is left in the lurch 30, 60 days later when they find out from the factoring company or just through their accounting department that they haven't been paid yet. Yeah. And then they got to find that money. The good news is, at the end of the day, in a double brokering scenario, the truck will get paid. It just takes a little effort, and it might take a lawyer. So they're not going to get 100% of their money, but there are some laws on the books. It's the slang term is called "the trucker must get paid." It's as simple as that. There's much more to that, but basically, if an asset can prove that they absolutely 100% hauled a load, the shipper, the receiver, and or the broker is liable to possibly pay again.
Oh yeah, I've had to deal with that. Like personally, I had that at my last job, and for me, it's like, I think the scary part about it is, Matt, is like, it probably happens a hell of a lot more than most people think. But what the people who are doing it, they pay the carrier who's actually doing it. They're just taking their couple $100 off the top. They fly beneath the radar and everything else. But I've had it where, same thing, man. We had to like double pay on a couple of loads because of that. Because the double broker, we paid them. I don't even know if it was a quick pay scenario. I can't remember. But the carrier who actually hauled the freight had the BOL and everything as well. And then it finally, once they called the shipper and everything else. So again, like, carriers, if you're not getting payment, I want to help you guys kind of sniff out some of this double brokering stuff as well, because I think that's the big thing, because the carriers, the main people who get fucked over the most in these situations are the carriers who actually haul the load. If you are in this position, call the shipper, call them immediately. Don't try, if that broker stops answering their phone, whomever tendered you the load, and they're not replying to emails, call the shipper immediately and ask them who their point of contact is at the brokerage that they tendered that load over to. And then again, because you need to get paid in this situation. And the majority of the time as a broker, like, we have to pay you in these situations, because if you have that, and again, and I'll get to like some preventative steps here. So again, I want to help these drivers get their money, because I think that's the most forgotten piece of a lot of the double brokering talk, is the driver who actually does the work and they don't get paid on these situations. So contact that shipper immediately. If it's not the name of the person that you booked that load with, reach out to leadership at that company right away, or go directly to the accounting and get in touch with them very, very soon. I don't know what will happen from there, but if it's any of my freight, I'll get you paid. All right. You will get paid from it no matter what. But again, I've found that the more people want, and this isn't in every situation, and if you're a carrier out there and you request advances, it's not a negative like you think, but it's the persistency of they want an advance before you even pick the load up. Like you just tendered them a load. Hey, can we get an advance on this one? That's kind of a red flag to me. Or the quick pay thing. They want to get paid within like 24 hours. They'll even offer to like get it for less money. Hey, can I get a discount? I'll discount you my rate if you can get me paid sooner. Like, again, it's always that situation where if it sounds too good to be true, it generally is. And again, you got to report these things. And the problem, and this is one of like my biggest gripes with the FMCSA. Like, they've essentially came out and said, hey, it's your job to monitor. It's not our job to monitor these things. And because these guys can fucking reincarnate today. My assumption is this is how a lot of these people operate, Matt, is they go out and buy 20 MCs. They go out and buy 20 MCs and they filter through them. They max out their money, and then they close up shop on all of them.
Yep. Or they're stealing identities and they've already got their next couple in line. Like, so let's talk about our scenario here, business to business. Someone somewhere along the line got our packet who's going to do double brokering things. And let's be honest, anyone who's been brokering for, a minute knows it's very easy to get anyone's setup packet. So It's not like we did something stupid, or careless. This is just the nature of the beast when we're trying to set up with new assets and work with new assets and et cetera. This guy doctored our rate agreement. He got a very close proximity domain in his email and to try to ghost us. This guy, from our math, from every invoice that's been submitted to us or every truck that called us to double check because they started getting a feeling that something was fishy.
Yep.
We've got about $50,000 within like a week's time documented. And we don't even know. We believe everything's done, but like $50,000, $60,000. One hit, I consider once they go and use one set of asset MC and one broker MC, that's a hit. And they're able to grab about 12 loads, 50 grand. They only got paid out on maybe I'm thinking 4 or 5 loads so far that we've gotten from factoring companies. Everybody else caught it. Yeah. And we were able to catch them, more or less and say, hey, you've got to stop dealing with this guy and you've got to go over here, start talking to the shipper and get some phone numbers and get some names on who is responsible, because that's how you're going to get paid.
Yeah. How did that come to your attention? Like, was there, and now have you also looked at it from a subjective viewpoint of like, this is what we're going to do now to ensure that this doesn't happen?
So as a broker, when you are the brokered MC in a double brokering scheme, let's go twofold. Let's talk about a little preventive. We'll go deeper into it.
Yeah.
How, as a broker, can we avoid it in the first place? I can proudly say the amount of times our physical load has been double brokered, I could probably count on one hand, because we use sources like Highway or Carrier 411, which are your two godsends to discover any double brokering. Inside of our TMS, we keep everybody documented. If we discover any phone numbers to double brokers, we actually submit it to our tech support and they blacklist those phone numbers, even though they're probably burner numbers. We just do everything possible to get them out of our lives as quickly as possible. As a result, our loads that get double brokered, very, very minimal for a company our size.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the fact that we were part of, RMC was part of the scheme. To prevent that up front, there's honestly nothing you can do, right? Mm-hmm. Because you could call me today and say, hey, I'm Chris Jolly Trucking. I want to get set up with you. Can you send me your packet? I've got straight trucks in Phoenix. Okay, great. I got freight in Phoenix. So we're going to set up, but you've got zero intention of doing anything, but now you have my packet. Yeah. So to stop it at that source, I don't see that as possible. However, to stop, to further stop things, we jumped on and did some research on the domain. We found his domain real fast, and we were able to shut it down by going to the fraud department of the domain host company. I'll be honest with you. I got on the phone. I badgered this guy so much personally. I talked to the guy. I talked to the double broker that he shut off the phone. I had my entire office call him and just berate him. And they finally shut off the phone. They knew the gig was up because they knew we knew.
Yeah.
And so it was just going to get out more and more. I advertised on LinkedIn. I mean, it sucks to say, but I went on there and said, hey, look, we've been a victim. Here's where we're at. Pay attention. You know, this is what's happening. If you get a phone call from this person, you need to call the main office. If you get a load offering from that person, do not take that load. Things like that. So we just got the word of mouth out, and I think that helped shut it down as quickly as possible.
So what could you do differently next time, do you think? What steps have you guys implemented? Because again, I think at the end of the day, fraud's going to happen. Like people are going to, especially as technology continues to evolve and advance, I think the threat of cybersecurity and everything else is only going to grow in that situation. So again, it's like, as we become more and more digital, how are you from a leadership standpoint taking this scenario head on? Because this could cripple a startup brokerage, if you get hit for $50K, that might put you out of business.
Oh, we actually spoke to the host not the host, but the foundation, right? The core broker that had the loads. And we said, some of these might come back to you. You better be prepared. We tried to shut it off as much as possible. We tried to do our part in helping. I directed trucks and the assets to the shippers. And this one broker said, oh, we didn't, we can't afford carrier 411 or highway. And we didn't check them. I'm like, well, you're part of the problem. Like, check your stuff, check your shit. Yeah. You created this problem by not having your checks and balances. So what have we done as a company, just as a learning experience? We are going to change our quick pay. We don't advance to begin with. I mean, here at the corporate office, my stance is if you need an advancement, maybe you shouldn't be driving a truck. It's a hard reality. We do quick pays. However, we're going to adjust it now to where you have to you basically have to be in business done business with us for 90 days.
Yeah.
If you've done business for 90 days, your chances are you're not a double broker, or you're a really, really good one. But in any event, by no carrier is immune to being checked by carrier 411. Every carrier of ours goes through carrier 411. Our personal checks and balances are so strong. This is why, I can literally tell you a story on this episode of every double broker experience we've had, because there's so few. And it's all done because we weren't listening, or we were listening and decided not to pay attention. So my team has been educated more. When this was happening 2 weeks ago, what we did was every carrier rep that was taking a phone call, once they heard the names, they remembered, hey, I need to transfer this call to Matt. And that's how we caught many of the assets. And we didn't say, hey, man, you got the wrong number. Because what if that asset called? What if you were one of the assets and you called and I got Joe that says, I got no idea, Chris. We don't have a load like that. And then you guys hang up, but then you call the double broker back and he does answer this time. You're still part of the scam. Whereas my team was all educated. You pass that call to me right away. And now I'm talking to you. I'm saying, Chris, I have got some unfortunate news. Here's what's going on. This is your next steps. So again, as a brokerage, we've got great checks and balances already. So our double brokering is very limited. As the person that was, more or less the victim of identity theft, I mean, even the FMCSA does not give any valid, useful information on how to prevent it.
I know.
So you just got to get in front of it.
Dude, I think so. One thing that I found, especially when it comes to the double brokering side of things, is it's like it's almost like they're searching for the person that they can take advantage of. And we want to be in a position to where, again, I always say it like this, you guys, and I talk about this frequently, and we go over topics like this because I don't coach anymore, because obviously Freight Coach Logistics is a thing. We're building that up. I do all my coaching inside a broker carrier, my technology company, and we go through steps like this to prevent a lot, because like minimize it, because I'm never going to say prevent, because it like this shit happens. And like, again, these guys are fucking professionals at the end of the day, for the most part, the real elaborate ones. And they're professionals because like they fly under the radar and they don't fuck people over. They just take their skim off the top. But to me, it's always this. It's very hard to negotiate or talk to somebody who knows what they're talking about. They're looking for that gap. And this is why you have to have your team trained up to be very knowledgeable about your freight, because it deters the petty thieves that are out there. It deters them because they're like, if these guys are this dialed in, I'm not going to be able to get away with this. So you have to have your shit in line. And like, that's the beauty of technology as it's coming out, is it is getting harder and harder for them to double broker because of like the carrier assures of the world, the carrier 401s. If you pay attention to those that are out there, you can tell the difference between a bullshit freight guard report and a real freight guard report. And when it comes down to it, for me, anything that has fraudulent activity or double brokering, I don't fuck with those people at all. And I let them know, hey, if this is valid and this wasn't you, get it taken down, and then we can talk. And you need to have checks and balances in place for a lot of this stuff, because you can literally push a lot of this away from you just by training your staff up to know what they're talking about. If your carrier sales team is out there saying, picks here, delivers here, this is what it pays, this is what it weighs, blah, 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 they're going to fucking swoop you guys left and right because your team doesn't sound like they know what they're talking about.
Well, or qualify the carrier. Where's your truck? What time's he empty? Ask those questions, because one, you're going to use it to sell the load, but keep them talking. Listen to them stumble.
Matt, you've been doing this for 24 years. I've been in this industry for 15 years. If I've ever had a carrier tell me they have 3 trucks in a city, I ask for all 3 trucks and trailer numbers and all 3 driver cell phone numbers, and I will verify with all of them that they're in that city. Again, and if I get pushback from a carrier, because I know some of these carriers out here are going to say that's excessive, and it might be, but my freight is fucking real freight. All right. I actually have these loads. I have long-standing relationships with my customers that I'm not willing to deviate away from that from, because again, real trucking companies know exactly where all of their trucks are at every given moment in time. And again, if there's gaps in people's approaches, I don't want to work with them. It's that simple. And it's no offense to anybody out there who operates that way. I just will not choose to put you on my freight. Because again, if you know where your trucks are, you know exactly where they're getting offloaded at, you know how many miles away that stuff is. Again, I'm asking you very in-depth questions to qualify you to haul my freight. Because again, if you're like, I don't know where they're getting, I don't know about that, I got this, I got that. If you can't answer questions directly to me, you are not a valid business, in my opinion.
No, 100%. And that's what I strongly encourage is, if, and I did carrier sales for just a little bit. I've been predominantly on the customer side of operations and sales. But if somebody called and said, what's your rate? I'm like, bro, you're shipping I'm shipping plutonium. Do you want to haul plutonium? Like I start making stuff up. It's like, if you were calling me just for the rate, I'm probably not going to talk to you. Like, cause I'm going to feel you out. If you don't have the patience to deal with it, I'll see you later. I'm not taking that risk. It's my customer's freight, and my customer doesn't understand. Customers don't understand. They know what double brokering is, but they don't have a tolerance for it. They don't have an understanding for it. They feel in today's day and age, their broker should be smart enough to avoid that, bottom feeder crap.
And that's why they work with us. That's why they hire you. And again, it's always the little things that separate you from your competition out there. I got to give some shout outs here quick. Sean, what's going on, man? Good fucking morning. Stace, good morning. Thanks for joining here. Rick Wooten, what's up? Good morning. Chris Horton says Monday, equals a week of new opportunities. Let's fucking go. You are right. Dale Prax, he's coming in from Knoxville. Brenda Melville says, I like those rules. No quick pay unless you have moved a certain number of loads with us as a company already. I like that. Eric Favela says Baxter and Bailey or Alexander Winton. These companies will help you collect money for these cases that are out there. I've
got a call from Baxter before.
Nancy said, Nancy Hallbauer says, we did the best we could do to help these carriers. We have the tools and protocols in place to catch them. There's a lot of stuff out here. A lot of good information. Brenda says you can tell the companies that care enough to take their partner carriers and those that don't. This gentleman is obviously in this for the long haul to make sure everyone is trained and aware of what's happening. Have your shit in line. Makes all the difference in these situations. Amen to that. And then Dale Pratt says, often the driver does not know the double brokering scam is happening. I always call the driver upon dispatch and ask them who you drive for, send a selfie of you next to the MC number on your door. Yeah, I mean, that's another thing too, is it's always the established relation. It's always in the newer relationships that stuff happens. So again, it's like, hey, and then again, call the insurance company and verify what vehicles are on the insurance policy as well.
Yeah.
And, to me, there's just so many more steps that you can go in. And again, you guys take the 5 minutes on the front end to save you 5 hours on the back end of fucking around, because that's what it's going to lead to.
Well, and real quick, I got 2 quick stories, right? So this one double broker scam once, I got a call from my customer, and it's listen, right? So my customer called and said, "Hey, Matt, by the way, USF rescheduled the delivery for tomorrow." That's all he said. I'm like, well, that's weird. I don't have USF on a single load of yours. So I said, what load do they think they have of yours, of mine?
Yeah.
He told me, sure enough, we ran it up the flagpole and there's a double broker. And I was able to negotiate with USF. And I said, well, hey, you got a choice. You can either not get paid what you think you're going to get paid, or I will pay you a normal contract rate. Because of course, USF's an LTL carrier. He had a half truckload that I can move far cheaper. And the guy, he didn't even have to think about it or call me back. He said, Matt, I'll take your deal. He's like, because I'd rather get your good money than their no money.
And I've done that before too, where we sniffed out that it was a double broker, and I called the carrier who's actually on it. I got them set up. I'm like, hey, what were they offering to pay you? And it was less than what we were paying them. I'm like, perfect, man. I'm actually going to pay you $400 more and pay you what I was going to pay that other guy. And same thing, reported it, went to that company's insurance company. And again, call and verify fucking all of this shit. That's why I hate insurance monitoring software, is because for me personally, when it comes to setting up a carrier, especially a new relationship, you need to call that insurance company and you need to verify that those guys are who they say they are. Because guess who doesn't give a shit that you overlooked that? The fucking carrier that you're going to end up having to pay. So every time you overlook something, could cost you $5,000, could cost you more than that.
Well, and here's the other thing too. So from my side of being the victim, and, my advice to the assets out there listening to the show is look at the small details. So this knucklehead, what he did was, my website is www.shipbtb.com. This guy changed it on the rate agreement to btob.com. Pay attention. Does the phone number look similar? His direct dial phone number was completely different than our prefix for our main corporate number. So things just weren't lining up, but it's the little nuances. Phone numbers missing, data was missing. There was he was editing the PDF rate agreement, our rate agreement. He got his hands on our rate agreement and just changed font, but the font was different. So we're actually taking, you asked earlier, what are we doing to different now? We're actually talking to our TMS provider. I've got a direct line to the owner of our TMS, and we're coming up with some, cyber anti-theft detection. The rate agreement's you can't edit our rate agreement, basically put. So if you get a copy of it and, Chris, you decide to become a double broker instead, you can't edit my rate agreement without it being physically evident that you have doctored that rate agreement. So we're talking about that right now, but that's the thing. Just pay attention to the details, listen to what's being said. And the same thing goes for the brokers. I mean, we have a very important role in this just the same. These poor trucks are going to lose money because if they call Baxter Bailey, right, which is I think they're the number one guy to go to, they're going to lose 30% because that Baxter will take it on a contingency basis. I am positive of that. I've talked to the guy, but you're going to lose 30% as an asset, by doing that. So, as a broker, you're responsible for that. So check out these carriers, report on them, TIA Watchdog, Carrier 411, Highway, all these sites that, someone's going to be a victim, of course. There's always got to be that first victim, but post it. It's so cheap to have these tools. It's I don't know. It's a no-brainer. And we couldn't believe what the other brokers said, that they just couldn't afford. They couldn't afford Carrier 411, but they also can't afford this double payment coming up. I'm like, well, it's coming.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. It's all an investment at that point. That's it for like, we keep these quick. I can always have, anybody else who's listening to this or hitting up on the replay and everything, you guys, like hit us up, reach out to me direct. I want to, because again, the more information we have out there, the better to help it. And Matt, if anybody doesn't have anything in place for themselves right now and they want to reach out to you, how does anybody find out more about, to get in contact with you?
I mean, the best way, I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. I'm getting more and more active there. So hit me up on LinkedIn, Matthew Perkins. It's my face on the profile. Or just hit me up, mperkins@shipbtb.com. I'm here to help better the industry. I've been in some forums lately on Facebook and whatnot, and just, piping in. There's a lot of youngins coming in.
I know.
And take it from this dinosaur. I've been doing this for a minute. I'm here to help at this point. There's too many people coming into this blind, and they're screwing over trucks. They're screwing over shippers, and they're screwing over themselves. They just don't know it yet. But if I can help prevent that a little bit.
I get it, man. I get it. Well, hey, you guys, that's it for today. We'll definitely have more and more on this topic, you guys. But if you have listened to this and you see value in what we talk about, you guys share the show. If you jump over to YouTube for the replay, or if you're on the Coffee with the Freight Coach on iTunes and Spotify for the audio only replay of this, subscribe, share, and rank it. It just helps us grow, you guys. Because at the end of the day, guys, if you guys see value in this, your network's going to see value in this as well. And this is how we help better the industry, is by talking to others who are in this industry to put best practices out there. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. We'll be back tomorrow, the Freight Coach Morning Show. We are the top morning show in transportation, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, and we'll be talking to you guys soon.